I thought I had the perfect life until my wife's cold words shattered it. Once a month is enough, she said, dismissing our love like a chore. So I gave her what she wanted, my presence once a month. She never saw it coming. I'm Diego Rivera, 38, and 6 months ago, I uncovered a truth that changed everything. This is how I took back my life. Diego Rivera punched the accelerator, weaving his Tesla through Miami's evening traffic, the city's neon pulse blurring past. He'd just closed a deal for his tech startup, a contract that would net $500,000 in revenue. At 38, he'd built a life most envied. A $900,000 Coral Gables home, a wife, Sophia, who turned heads, and 2 kids, Mateo, 15, and Isabella, 11. Tonight, he'd celebrate with them, maybe order pizza, crack open a soda, and plan a weekend getaway. But as he pulled into the driveway, his gut tightened. Sophia's car wasn't there. Again, inside, the house hummed with the usual chaos. Mateo sprawled on the couch, thumbs flying over his phone, earbuds blasting. Isabella sat at the kitchen counter, her science project, a model volcano, half finished, baking soda scattered like snow. Diego dropped his keys, forcing a smile. Mateo, you eat yet? Where's Mom? Mateo yanked out an earbud. She texted, working late, said to order food. His tone carried an edge, sharp for a 15-year-old. Diego nodded, hiding his disappointment, and grabbed his phone to order pizza. Another late night. Sophia's new gig at a Trinity ad agency had her chained to her desk, or so she claimed. He believed her at first, proud she was chasing her career again after years focused on the kids. But 3 months in, her absences felt deliberate. Isabella, need help with that volcano? Diego asked, sliding onto a stool beside her. She grinned, her braids bouncing as she shook her head. I got it, Dad. But can we test it outside? I don't want to mess up the kitchen. Her enthusiasm tugged at him, a reminder of why he kept pushing through the strain at home. Deal. Let's blow it up after dinner. The pizza arrived, and they ate in the living room, Mateo recounting a soccer game where he'd scored twice, Diego coaching from the sidelines. Isabella chimed in, describing how her teacher praised her project. For a moment, it felt normal, like the family they used to be. But Sophia's empty chair loomed large. Diego's phone buzzed, a text from her. Stuck at work. Don't wait up. No, love you. No, sorry. Just cold logistics. He cleared the plates, jaw tight, and took Isabella outside to test her volcano. The vinegar and baking soda erupted in a fizzy explosion, her laughter echoing through the backyard. Mateo joined them, filming it for her school presentation. You're gonna crush this, Izzy, he said, ruffling her hair. Diego watched his kids, pride swelling, but a nagging thought crept in. When did Sophia stop being part of these moments? Later, after Isabella went to bed, Diego found Mateo in the garage, tinkering with an old drone he'd been fixing. You're up late, Diego said, leaning against the workbench. Mateo didn't look up. Mom's never here anymore. You noticed that, right? His words landed like a jab. Diego hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I notice. She's just busy with work. Busy, Mateo scoffed, tightening a screw. She's different, Dad. Like she doesn't care about us. Diego's chest tightened. He wanted to defend Sophia, to say it was just a phase, but Mateo's words mirrored his own doubts. She's still your mom, he said finally. We'll figure out. But as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it. The next morning, Diego woke early, brewing coffee as the sun crept over Coral Gables' palm-lined streets. Sophia's side of the bed was untouched. She'd slipped in after midnight, crashing on the guest room couch, a new habit. He found her there, scrolling her phone, already dressed in a sharp blazer. Morning, he said, offering a mug. She took it without looking up. Thanks. I got a pitch today. Big client. Need a ride to the office? He asked, testing the waters. She shook her head. I'll drive. Got meetings all day. Her tone was clipped, like he was a co-worker, not her husband of 14 years. Diego swallowed his frustration and headed to the kitchen to pack lunches for the kids. As he sliced apples for Isabella, his phone pinged, a calendar reminder for Mateo's soccer game. Sophia hadn't attended one in weeks. At the game that afternoon, Diego cheered from the bleachers as Mateo dodged defenders, scoring a goal that sent the crowd roaring. Isabella waved a homemade sign, her enthusiasm infectious. But Diego's eyes kept drifting to the empty spot beside him where Sophia used to sit, clapping and shouting Mateo's name. After the game, Mateo jogged over, sweaty but grinning. "Nice one, champ," Diego said, tossing him a water bottle. "Wish Mom saw it," Mateo muttered, his smile fading. Diego clapped his shoulder. "She's got a lot on her plate. Next time." That evening, Diego decided to act. He texted Sophia, "Let's do dinner tomorrow, just us. Kids are to sleep over." Her reply came hours later. "Maybe. I'll let you know." The vagueness stung. He stared at the message, a plan forming. If Sophia wouldn't make time, he'd force the issue. He booked a table at their old favorite spot, a Cuban restaurant where they'd danced to salsa on their anniversary years ago. Maybe it would spark something. The next night, Diego waited at the restaurant, the scent of ropa vieja filling the air. He dressed up, hoping for a real conversation. Sophia arrived 20 minutes late, her eyes glued to her phone as she Saturday sorry. "Work's insane," she said, not meeting his gaze. Diego leaned forward. "Sophia, we need to talk. About us." She sighed, setting her phone down. "What's there to talk about? We're fine." "Fine." Diego's voice was low, controlled. "You're never home. We don't talk." The kids noticed too. Sophia's eyes flicked up, annoyance flashing. "I'm doing my best, Diego. You think it's easy balancing everything?" He leaned closer. "I'm not asking for everything. I'm asking for you to show up. For us." She crossed her arms. "I don't have time for this. Once a month is enough, isn't it?" The words hit like a slap, her casual dismissal cutting deep. Diego stared, stunned. "Once a month? That's what our marriage is to you?" Sophia shrugged, picking up her phone again. "We're not kids anymore, Diego. This is life now." He stood, tossing his napkin on the table. "If that's how you feel, I'll give you what you want." He walked out, her stunned silence trailing behind him. In a parking lot, his hands shook as he unlocked his car. Clarity hit. He'd been begging for scraps, and she'd offered him crumbs. Driving home, Diego made a decision. If Sophia wanted once a month, he'd match her terms, not with intimacy, but with his presence. He'd rent a condo nearby, show up only when it suited him, and see how she liked being on the receiving end. As he pulled into the driveway, Mateo was waiting on the porch, his face serious. "Dad, I need to show you something." He held up his phone, a screenshot glowing in the dark. "Mom's been texting someone. It's not good." Diego's heart sank, but he nodded. "Show me." The game had just changed. Diego's pulse hammered as he stared at Mateo's phone, the screenshot searing into his mind. The text from Sophia to Carlos Vega, his business partner, read, "He's gone for the weekend. Meet me at the usual spot. Room 412. Mateo's jaw was tight, his eyes searching Diego's for a reaction. "I found it when I borrowed her phone for a game," Mateo said, voice low. "There's more, Dad. Weeks of this." Diego forced a steady breath, handing the phone back. "Thanks for showing me, son. I'll handle it." Mateo nodded, hesitant, then headed inside, leaving Diego alone on the porch. The betrayal burned, but Diego didn't explode. Instead, a cold resolve settled in. He needed proof, not just suspicions. The next morning, he drove to a condo rental office in Coconut Grove, signing a lease for a one-bedroom unit. If Sophia wanted once a month, he'd give her space his way. He packed a bag, texted the kids he'd be nearby for a work project, and moved into the condo by noon. Sophia didn't ask questions when he told her. She just sent a thumbs-up emoji. At his tech startup's office, Diego watched Carlos closely. The man laughed too easily, slapped Diego's back during a meeting, and bragged about landing a new client. Diego played along, nodding while his mind churned. Carlos had been his friend for a decade, the one who'd co-signed the loan to start their company. Now, he was sneaking around with Sophia. Diego opened his laptop, pulling up their business contracts. The fine print gave him an idea, a way to hit Carlos where it hurt. That evening, Diego met Mateo at a soccer field for practice. As they kicked a ball back and forth, Mateo broke the silence. "You're not coming home tonight, are you?" Diego stopped the ball under his foot. "Not for a while. I need to figure some things out." Mateo's eyes narrowed. "It's about Mom, isn't it? What I showed you." Diego hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, but this stays between us. You focus on school and soccer. Let me deal with the adult stuff." Mateo smirked, a spark of defiance. "I'm not a kid, Dad. I can handle the truth." Diego clapped his shoulder. "I know, but trust me to handle this." The next day, Diego hired a private investigator, a discreet contact from a past client. Follow Sofia and Carlos Vega, he instructed, handing over a deposit. I need dates, times, locations, hard evidence. The PI nodded, promising results within a week. Diego didn't sit idle. He called his lawyer, Elena Ortiz, to review his options. The house is in my name, he explained. Bought it before the marriage. What about the business? Elena scanned the contracts. You and Carlos each own 50%. If you divorce, Sofia could claim half your share unless you buy him out first. Diego leaned forward. How fast can we make that happen? Over the next few days, Diego kept his routine tight. Work, soccer games, helping Isabella with homework via video calls. Sofia texted sporadically, asking about his work trip. He replied vaguely, mirroring her detachment. Meanwhile, the PI sent updates. Photos of Sofia and Carlos at a downtown hotel, time-stamped receipt from a bar. Each image fueled Diego's focus. He wasn't just hurt, he was strategic. At the office, he proposed a new project to Carlos, a decoy to keep him distracted. Big money in this one, Diego said, watching Carlos's eyes light up with greed. Friday night, Diego returned home for his monthly visit, testing Sofia's reaction. She greeted him at the door, her smile forced, offering to cook. How about takeout? Diego said, setting down Cuban sandwiches. Isabella rushed to hug him, but Sofia lingered at the counter, uneasy. You're different, she said, pouring wine. Quiet. Diego shrugged, biting into his sandwich. Just respecting your space. Once a month, right? Her face flushed, but she didn't respond. Mateo shot Diego a knowing look, silently approving. After dinner, Diego took the kids to a go-kart track, laughter drowning out the tension. Isabella squealed as she lapped Mateo, who faked outrage. Diego watched, heart swelling, but his mind stayed sharp. The PI's final report arrived that night. A detailed log of Sofia and Carlos's meetups, including audio from a hotel lobby where Carlos bragged about having it all. Diego saved the files, his plan crystallizing. He'd confront Carlos first, then Sofia, on his terms. Monday morning, Diego walked into the office with a folder of financials. Carlos was at his desk, scrolling through emails. We need to talk, Diego said, closing the door. Carlos raised an eyebrow. What's up, man? Diego slid the folder across. I'm buying you out. Full control of the company. Name your price. Carlos laughed, thinking it was a joke, then saw Diego's expression. You're serious? Why? Diego leaned in, voice steady. Because I don't trust partners who cross lines. $800,000. Take it, or I'll make things messy. Carlos's smirk faded, confusion creeping in. He didn't know Diego had proof yet. That night, Diego drove to the condo, the PI's evidence burning a hole in his pocket. He called Elena, finalizing the buyout terms. If Carlos signs, Sofia gets nothing from the business in a divorce, Elena confirmed. Diego nodded, staring at the Miami skyline. Good. Set it up. He wasn't just protecting his company. He was reclaiming his life. Sofia's text came later, asking when he'd be home. He didn't reply. Let her wonder. The next evening, Mateo showed up at the condo unannounced, his backpack slung over one shoulder. A hack mom's cloud, he admitted, holding out a USB drive. More texts. Emails, too. She's been planning to leave you after the company goes public next year. Diego took the drive, stunned by Mateo's initiative. You shouldn't have done that, he said, but his pride was evident. Mateo shrugged. You taught me to stand up for what's right. This is me standing up for you. Diego pulled him into a hug, the weight of his son's loyalty grounding him. As the week ended, Diego prepared for the confrontation. He rented a meeting room at a neutral location, scheduling Carlos for a business discussion. The PI's evidence was organized, the buyout papers ready. Sofia would be next, but Diego wanted her to feel the ground shift first. He texted her, home tomorrow. We need to talk. Her reply was quick. Okay, what's wrong? Diego smirked, pocketing his phone. She'd find out soon enough. Diego adjusted his tie in the mirror of the rented meeting room, the Miami skyline glinting through the window. His laptop was open, the PI's evidence loaded. Photos, texts, audio clips of Carlos and Sofia plotting their affair. The buyout contract sat beside it, $800,000 wired from his personal account, ready to sever Carlos from their tech startup. Diego's phone buzzed. Sofia, asking why he needed to talk tonight. He ignored it, focusing on the task at hand. Carlos would arrive any minute. The door swung open, and Carlos strolled in, all confidence, tossing his keys on the table. "What's this about, Diego? Another project?" Diego gestured to the chair. "Seat. We're done partnering." Carlos's grin faltered as Diego slid the buyout contract across. "Sign this. You're out of the company. Cash is already in escrow." Carlos scoffed, scanning the document. "You're joking. I built this with you." Diego opened his laptop, hitting play on an audio clip. Carlos's voice filled the room. "Diego's too busy sulking to notice us. We got this locked." Carlos froze, his face paling. "Where'd you get that?" Diego leaned forward, eyes hard. "Does it matter? You've been sleeping with my wife while pretending to be my friend. Sign or I take this public, clients, investors, everyone." Carlos's hands shook as he flipped through the contract, realizing Diego held all the cards. "This is blackmail," he muttered, but he grabbed a pen, scrawling his signature. Diego nodded. "Escrow releases tomorrow. You're done here." Carlos stood, muttering threats, but left without a fight. Diego exhaled, the first battle won. He drove home, the evidence USB in his pocket, his mind on Sofia. The Coral Gables house was quiet when he arrived, the kids at a neighbor's for the night. Sofia waited in the kitchen, stirring a pot of arroz con pollo, her attempt at normalcy. "You're early," she said, avoiding his gaze. Diego set his keys down, deliberate. "We need to talk. Now." She turned off the stove, her movements stiff, sensing the shift. He pulled out his phone, opening the PI's photos, Sofia and Carlos at a hotel bar, her hand on his arm. Another of them entering a room, time-stamped. "Explain this," Diego said, voice steady but cold. Sofia's eyes widened, her breath catching. "Diego, it's not." He cut her off, tossing the USB on the counter. "Texts, emails, audio. You and Carlos planned to ditch me after the company went public. I've got all." She sank into a chair, hands trembling. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Didn't mean what?" Diego pressed. "To betray me? To lie to our kids? To treat me like a paycheck?" Sofia's voice cracked. "I was overwhelmed, Diego. Work, the kids, us, it was too much. Carlos was just there." Diego shook his head, unmoved. "You made choices. Every late night, every text, every lie. You chose him over us." She reached for his hand, but he stepped back. "I want a divorce. You're out of this house by the end of the week." Sofia's tears came fast, but Diego felt no urge to comfort her. "This is my home too," she protested. Diego pulled out the deed, slapping it on the counter. "My name only. Bought it before we married. You've got no claim." Her mouth opened, then closed, defeat settling in. "Where will I go?" she whispered. "Figured out," Diego said. "You were fine planning a future without me." He turned, heading upstairs, leaving her with the weight of her actions. The next morning, Diego met his lawyer, Elena, at a downtown cafe. "Carlos signed the buyout," he said, sliding the contract over. "Sofia's moving out. What's next?" Elena sipped her coffee. "File for divorce. You've got the evidence for infidelity, and the house and business are secure. We'll push for primary custody of Mateo and Isabella." Diego nodded, relief mixing with resolve. "I want the kids to have stability. They've seen enough chaos." Back at the condo, Diego called Mateo and Isabella, arranging to pick them up from school. At a nearby ice cream shop, he broke the news. "Your mom and I are separating. She made some mistakes, and I need to protect our family." Isabella's eyes teared up. "Will we still see her?" Diego squeezed her hand. "Every other weekend, if you want. You'll live with me." Mateo nodded, his face hard. "She messed up, Dad. We're with you." Their loyalty hit Diego like a lifeline. That evening, Sofia packed a suitcase, her movements frantic as Diego watched from the doorway. "I'm sorry," she said, zipping it shut. "I didn't want this." Diego crossed his arms. "You didn't want me. There's a difference." She left without another word, her car disappearing down the street. Diego stood in the quiet house, the kids' laughter from a video game echoing upstairs. He'd won this round, but the war wasn't over. Sofia's betrayal had lit a fire, and Diego was ready to rebuild, on his terms. Diego stood in the Coral Gables kitchen, flipping pancakes for Mateo and Isabella, the scent of syrup cutting through the morning air. 2 weeks had passed since Sophia moved out, her belongings reduced to a few boxes now stacked in a cramped Miami apartment. The kids adjusted faster than Diego expected, their routines anchoring the house. Mateo practiced soccer drills in the backyard, while Isabella taped a new science fair poster to the fridge. Diego's phone buzzed, a client email about the startup's latest app launch. He smiled, sole ownership fueling his drive. Sophia's calls came daily, pleading to talk, but Diego kept responses short, prioritizing the kids. He'd hired a family therapist, Dr. Lopez, to help Mateo and Isabella process the split. During their first session, Isabella admitted, "Mom's nicer now, but it feels fake." Mateo was blunter. "She's only sorry because she got caught." Diego listened, heart heavy but proud of their honesty. Dr. Lopez suggested bi-weekly visits with Sophia, and Diego agreed, wanting the kids to maintain a connection without pressure. At the startup, Diego restructured operations, hiring a new CTO to replace Carlos. The team noticed his sharper focus, landing 2 major contracts in a week. During a late-night coding session, his assistant, Javier, lingered. "Heard about Carlos," Javier said, shutting his laptop. "Guy's telling clients you forced him out." Diego raised an eyebrow, unfazed. "Let him talk. Truth's on my side." He forwarded Javier the PI's evidence, just in case rumors spread. Transparency was his shield. Sophia's new reality unraveled fast. Mateo overheard her on a call during a weekend visit, complaining to a friend about her part-time job at a call center. "She's broke," Mateo told Diego, tossing a soccer ball. "Says Carlos ghosted her after some big fight." Diego nodded, unsurprised. Carlos had cashed the $800,000 buyout and vanished, leaving Sophia to face the consequences alone. Diego felt no pity. Her choices had built this mess. One evening, Sophia showed up unannounced at the house, her car idling in the driveway. Diego answered the door, keeping it half closed. "What do you want?" he asked, voice flat. Sophia's hands twisted together. "I need to see the kids. And I miss us." Diego stepped outside, shutting the door behind him. "You miss the life, not me. The kids are fine, and you get your weekends." She pushed, voice rising. "You're turning them against me." Diego shook his head. "They see what you did. That's not on me." Inside, Isabella peeked through the window, her science notebook clutched tight. Diego waved her back, signaling calm. Sophia noticed, softening her tone. "I'm trying, Diego. I got a therapist. I'm working on myself." He crossed his arms. "Good. Work on being a better mom. We're done." She left, tears streaking, but Diego felt only relief. He joined Isabella, helping her sketch a circuit diagram, her focus pulling him back to what mattered. The next day, Diego met Elena, his lawyer, to finalize divorce papers. "Sophia's lawyer wants spousal support," Elena said, sliding a file across her desk. Diego scoffed, pointing to the PI's evidence. "She cheated and plotted to bleed me dry. No judge will side with her." Elena nodded, drafting a motion to limit Sophia's claims, citing the affair and Diego's sole ownership of the house and business. "We'll push for primary custody," she added. "The kids' therapist reports will help." At Mateo's soccer game that weekend, Diego cheered from the sidelines, Isabella snapping photos for her school blog. Sophia appeared, hesitant, sitting a few rows back. Mateo scored, and Diego roared, high-fiving Isabella. Sophia clapped, but her smile was strained, her presence an outlier. After the game, Mateo jogged over, ignoring Sophia's wave. "She's trying too hard," he muttered to Diego. "It's weird." Diego squeezed his shoulder. "Give her time, but you don't owe her anything." Back home, Diego organized a game night, pulling out Monopoly and pizza. Isabella laughed as Mateo landed on her hotel-heavy property, bankrupting him. The doorbell rang mid-game, Sophia, dropping off a forgotten jacket. She lingered, watching the laughter through the screen door. "Can I join?" she asked, voice small. Diego stood firm. "Not tonight. This is our time." She nodded, retreating, the door clicking shut. Isabella whispered, "Thanks, Dad. It's better without the drama." By Monday, Diego learned Carlos had tried pitching to a rival startup, using old client contacts. Diego called a board meeting, presenting the app's success metrics, downloads up 40%, and secured investor loyalty. Carlos's smear campaign fizzled, his reputation tarnished by whispers of his betrayal. Diego's phone pinged with a text from Elena. Sophia's lawyer backed off spousal support. We're set for court next month. He grinned, the pieces falling into place. That night, Diego took the kids to a tech expo, where Isabella's science project won second place. Mateo filmed her acceptance speech, beaming with pride. As they drove home, Diego glanced at them in the rearview mirror. You two okay? Isabella nodded. Better than ever, Dad. Mateo added, You're killing it. Mom's the one who lost. Diego's heart swelled, his focus clear. Protect his kids, rebuild his life, and let Sophia face the consequences of her betrayal. Diego flipped burgers on the grill, the Coral Gables backyard alive with the sizzle of meat and Mateo's playlist blaring from a portable speaker. 6 months after Sophia's departure, the divorce was final, the house officially his, and the kids thriving under his care. Isabella, now 12, kicked a soccer ball with Mateo, her giggles cutting through the evening air. Diego's startup had just launched a new app, downloads spiking 60% in a week, cementing his control. He glanced at his kids, their resilience a mirror of his own. The court hearing had been swift. Elena presented the PI's evidence, texts, photos, audio, proving Sophia's affair with Carlos. The judge awarded Diego primary custody, citing the kid's preference and Sophia's instability. She got bi-weekly visitation and no spousal support, her infidelity nullifying her claims. Sophia's lawyer argued she was remorseful, but Diego's documentation was ironclad. He walked out of the courthouse free, Mateo and Isabella waiting outside, their hugs grounding him. Sophia's life unraveled further. Carlos, flush with the buyout cash, had moved to L.A., leaving her in a one-bedroom apartment, scraping by on her call center wages. Mateo mentioned her complaints during visits, bills piling up, no savings. She asks about you, Isabella told Diego, setting the dinner table. Wants to know if you're dating. Diego chuckled, passing her plates. She's worried about the wrong things. You two are my focus. Isabella grinned, reassured. At a neighborhood barbecue, Elena's sister, Camila, approached Diego, offering a cold soda. Her to the grill master, she said, her smile easy. Diego took the drink, noting her sharp wit as they chatted about tech trends. She was a data analyst, recently divorced, no kids. Want to grab coffee sometime? She asked, jotting her number on a napkin. Diego pocketed it, nodding. Sound good. I'll call. Mateo, nearby, gave a thumbs up, whispering, She's cool, Dad. Back home, Diego coached Mateo for a regional soccer tournament, driving him to early practices. Isabella joined a coding club, inspired by Diego's work, and showed him her first app prototype. It's a game, she said, eyes bright. You dodge obstacles to win. Diego tested it, impressed by her logic. You're hired, he joked, pulling her into a hug. Their bond deepened, the house a haven of laughter and purpose, free from Sophia's tension. Sophia's visits grew strained. She arrived one Saturday, her car sputtering, and tried small talk with the kids. Mateo was polite but distant, focused on his phone. Isabella showed her a school award, but Sophia's praise felt forced. When she asked Diego to reconsider counseling, he cut her off. We're past that. Focus on being there for them. She left quietly, her apologies unanswered. Diego watched her go, feeling neither anger nor regret, just closure. At the startup, Diego secured a $2 million investment, expanding to a second office in Austin. He promoted Javier to COO, rewarding his loyalty. Whispers of Carlos's failed ventures reached him. Clients had dropped him after Diego's team outperformed. Diego didn't gloat. He'd already won by building a life without betrayal. He celebrated with a team dinner, toasting to new beginnings, his confidence unshaken. One evening, Camila joined Diego and the kids for pizza night. She laughed at Mateo's bad puns and helped Isabella debug her app, fitting easily into their rhythm. Diego caught Mateo's approving nod, a silent vote of confidence. After the kids went to bed, Camila lingered, sipping wine on the patio. You've got great kids, she said. They're tough like their dad. Diego smiled, open to possibility but cautious. They're my world. Anyone new has to earn their place. The next weekend, Sophia picked up the kids, her demeanor humbler. She'd started a part-time marketing course, aiming to rebuild her career. I'm trying to be better, she told Diego, handing over Isabella's backpack. He nodded, neutral. Keep at it. They need a mom who shows up. She met his gaze, a flicker of understanding passing between them. Her mistakes had cost her everything, but Diego's boundaries held firm. As summer hit, Diego took Mateo and Isabella to a tech conference in Orlando, where Isabella's app won a Youth Innovation Prize. Mateo filmed her speech, cheering louder than anyone. On the drive home, Diego glanced at them in the rearview. "Proud of you both," he said. Isabella beamed. "You're the best, Dad." Mateo added, "You showed Mom what happens when you mess up." Diego shook his head, smiling. "It's not about showing her. It's about choosing ourselves." Later, Diego texted Camila, setting a coffee date. He didn't need her to fill a void. His life was full. But he was ready to explore, to trust again, knowing his worth. Sophia's betrayal had taught him a truth. When someone shows you they don't value you, walk away. Diego had, and now, with his kids by his side and a future unfolding, he was free to live fully every day.